Hey, what's up?
That
I
looks
don't
a
know if
little.
that's cool
That
or
looks
not.
a little funny. That's a little odd.
I'm glad you guys are having fun at my expense. It's awesome.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to week 3 of our Luminis Roundtable. Today, we're going to be discussing our battle stations, the different things that we use for playing Star Citizen, our sticks, our controls, all those fun stuff, and how it affects our gameplay. Congratulations, we did the intro.
Sweet intro.
That was sweet.
Probably the best part of the whole video, honestly.
Oh boy.
Probably.
Yesterday.
Welcome back to week 3 of our Luminis Roundtable. Today we're going to be discussing... Welcome... Hi guys! Welcome back to week 3! Why did you do that? Alright, Uxie, walk us through the setup here. What's the idea? What's going on?
So I got the Virpil sticks, the half keyboard for basically FPS combat. I got the Virpil pedals.
Is
Really
there
2.5
specific
keyboards.
functions? Is there like specific functions for the two different Stream Decks? Like, what do you do?
I said that a minute ago, Rosie. On the left, I use for quantum jumping.
What are we doing up here?
And rip.
What's up, Augur?
She's with open arms, but there's some mixed reaction from students just ahead.
All right, so my setup is pretty simple setup, as you can see. The keyboard at the very front, I really only use the number pad for that because my middle keyboard doesn't have one. The keyboard on the left, I basically just, that's for FPS combat. My stick situation, I have my left stick, which is my throttle stick. For me, pulling back goes forward and pushing forward goes reverse. Also on this stick, I can open the doors on my ships, request landing and taking off. My speed is on my left stick on that control. You can't really tell in this picture, but there is a mouse wheel. And then obviously pushing in and pushing it in will turn on the limiter and turn off the limiter. On the top left of the stick, there's a button that I can push down to self-destruct the ship. And on the front side of the left stick, there's a button that I can use to turn the lights on of the ship. And then in the top right, there's a button that I can that I use for what do I use that button for? So many buttons I don't even know. And then my thumbstick here, that's used for engaging quantum drive. My right stick is mostly my combat stick. I can switch targets, switch from missiles to guns, turn on gimbal mode, change with my scroll wheel. I change how many missiles I want to shoot at a time. The little thumb stick on the left of the right stick, I use to change targets and pin targets. And then there's a few other things like chafing and stuff I got buttons for over here. Going into third person mode, if I want to do that, I got a button on here for that. My mouse is mostly used again for just FPS combat and running around. I use a Razer Naga, so it's got 12 buttons on the side. I can put, quit pistol, quit main hand, quit my knife, throw grenades, whatever you want to do there. And then to my far right, I've got two Stream Decks. One is for Star Citizen functionality, and one is for communications and team speaking to different channels and whispering different people. And that's pretty much my setup. Oh, the pedals. I've got Virpil pedals also, as well as Virpil sticks, the Alpha Prime constellations, whatever you call them. But my pedals I only really use for strafing left and right and boost. Oh, and my space brake's on my left stick.
I think of all the people in the verse, I would suggest you unbind the self-destruct key.
Yeah. I mean, I only really use that. Like, say you're flying your javelin, and 20 people board the ship, and they're right there trying to breach the bridge door. What do you do at that point? You just self-destruct the whole ship and blow everyone up.
There. Good call.
All right. Well, how about Grollo? Do you want to talk about your setup next? I see you have a fancy little. What is that? A mixer on your desk?
A mixer.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Here's my desk from a zoomed out angle. Yeah, this is a mixer right here. I use that just to balance audio between voice comms and the game sound, as well as sound effects and my own microphone gain. So it does all that. It's a fancy little thing. I like it. It acts as the sound card for my system, so I just have a USB that comes out of the computer into that, and it handles everything else. All my headsets and my mics and everything plug into that. I'm sure other people know a lot more about it than I do. I'm really not that good at that stuff, but it's helpful. And I'm back there, cool. Like to the right of the mixer. Mm-hmm. That's just my number pad. Because Star Citizen has a lot of number paddy things. I know Uxie has an entire keyboard for his number pad, but I just have this little guy that just gives me the number pad. So I just use that for camera settings in the game. Although, I'll talk about it later, but I have most of that bound to my sticks anyway. Under my monitor here is my iPad. I use that as a second screen quite a bit. And of course, my keyboard and my mouse, and even more importantly, my half keyboard over here to the left. When I'm in first-person mode, my hand is on my mouse, and my half keyboard to the left of my main keyboard. I mostly just use the main keyboard for typing, much like Uxie. I'm using one of those super ultra-wide monitors. Love it. Very immersive in Star Citizen, and you can see mounted to the top of that is my array of cameras, and this one on the right here is my headset tracker, which you can see I'm wearing right now. I actually don't use it all that often. I pretty much only use that whenever I'm doing aerial combat, which I also don't do that often. I find it when I'm doing like slower pace gameplay, it just kind of gets in the way more than not. But whenever I'm like fighting in an aircraft, I do find that extremely useful. And then these other two things are cameras. I'm only using one of these at the moment, the one on the far left. I was thinking maybe at some point, whenever FOIP is more useful in Star Citizen, I'll use one of these for FOIP and one of these for capturing for this kind of stuff. Since I don't think you can use the same camera for both. And then moving on, I'll zoom into these a little more in a little bit, but I have a stick on the right, I have a throttle on the left, I have pedals below, and I have a couple different stream decks, much like Uxie. And then, of course, my mic and headset, which you see right here. I will change what I'm sharing here so we can talk about those. This is a zoomed in shot of what I have on my left hand and my right hand. So on the right here is my Virpil Constellation stick, which I use for pitch, yaw, roll. That's what I have on the right stick, as well as missiles, guns, all that fun stuff, shield control, things like changing how many missiles I'm firing. Pretty much anything related to combat is on this stick, as well as brake. To the right of that stick is one of my stream decks. Currently, this thing just has a bunch of Star Citizen controls. I find myself not using this, though, because I have so many buttons, as we'll talk about, that I have physicalized So, like when I was first getting into Star Citizen, I didn't have all these other gadgets, and so the Stream Deck was actually a lot more useful back then for all like the key bindings that I couldn't remember. But as I've played the game longer and longer, I've moved most of those things to physical buttons now, and I found myself using this Stream Deck on the right far less. So I might repurpose that in the future. Below the Stream Deck on the stick is one of my button boxes from Virpil. I love this thing. It's got that little lever there in the top left. That's my landing gear. I push that forward to raise the landing gear. I push it down to lower the landing gear. And I have an array of buttons here that I have not assigned everything to yet. I'm actually waiting for more bindings to come into the game. Right now the game has a lot of toggles. I'm hoping that they move those to like discrete on and off things in the future. I think a lot of these buttons will become a lot more useful then, especially these like switches. But these two at the top that are covered, you actually have to flip those up and then activate the button. That's what I have eject and self-destruct set to, since I don't want to hit those by accident. I've taken like a little more care than Uxie in that. And then these two toggle switches in the bottom left are the only other ones I'm actually, no, that's a lie. These two in the bottom left are open and close all doors and toggle complete power to the ship on and off. And then these lit up buttons at the top of the box I use to change modes on my ship, so I can transition between like scan mode, mining mode, all the different modes. That's what those buttons are for. And then the rest of the stuff has not been bound yet, but I'm looking forward to binding those in the future. On the left-hand side is my throttle and my other Stream Deck. This Stream Deck, much like Uxie, is dedicated to comms. I use this for controlling which TeamSpeak channel I'm broadcasting to, or Discord, to mute myself, blah, 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 all that. There's another page on here which you can't see, which I use for lighting and camera controls as well. The throttle, this puppy is very important in my setup. So Uxie's dual stick, I'm throttle and stick primarily. I actually do have a left stick here, but I don't use this thing very often. I enjoy the throttle stick gameplay with pedals. You can see my pedals down there in the background. So this throttle is just one axis. This controls my forward and backward speed, and then a whole bunch of buttons to control an array of things. I use this for everything from quantum to anti-missile countermeasures, throttle control, like removing and setting speed limiters, camera control. I mentioned earlier I have that keypad for my number pad, but all that stuff is bound here as well. So I'm a big fan of like those camera presets where you can program the camera presets to like 1 through 6 or whatever. I have that bound to buttons here, so I can quickly flip between like the front of my ship, the back of my ship, the side of my ship. Very useful whenever you're landing. Top of my ship, and then these toggle switches down here toggle engines, shields, and weapon power on and off. These lit up buttons in the middle here are very useful for takeoff and landing. The first one will open the hangar doors. The second one readies the ship. Can't remember the rest off the top of my head. I don't use it very often. I think one brings up the star map. There's buttons on the front of this throttle you can't see that use as mouse cursors. So whenever I bring the star map up, I can navigate it right from the throttle here. There's a button to the side of that I use for like mouse clicks. So like as I'm navigating the map, I can click on things, select them, set route. I can do all that without taking my hand off the throttle and the stick, which is very nice. And then I got some wheels on the left and right here that act as either scroll wheels or like zooming in and out the scanner, stuff like that. So throttle has got a lot going on in the game. And then my feet pedals. Since I have 3 axes, we all know that you need 6 degrees of freedom. You need 6 axes to control everything on your ship in Star Citizen. I got 3 on the right stick. I only got 1 on the throttle, so that leaves me with 2. So that's what goes on my pedals. So my pedals are left and right strafe and vertical strafe. The sway bar on the pedals does left and right strafing. If I want to strafe up, it's my right pedal. And if I want to strafe down, it's my left pedal. Something about that feels good to me when I go and I hop in the seat of my ship and I push what would be the gas in my car. I push that to kind of take off. It feels right. So that's why I bound it that way. That's kind of a whirlwind overview of my controls.
Absolutely no questions.
What?
I have absolutely no questions.
Thoroughly enough?
Yeah, you did great. If anybody asks him a question, I'm gonna cry.
Come on. I love
Please
talking
don't.
about this.
Please don't. No questions?
Which stick base do you have?
Oh God.
Like I have the VPC Warbird, but yours looks a little smaller than mine.
I have like it's not the Warbird, it's the it's a good question. I'm drawing a blank. I forget what it's called.
It doesn't say at the bottom down there.
The Virtual controls, I don't know.
Oh,
I can see it now.
maybe it's the Mongoose.
That's it. Mongoose T blah blah. The only feature this has that the Warbird doesn't have is you can change the attenuation so that it behaves like a throttle. So if you tighten up certain knobs down here, you can make it so that whenever like you pull the stick back, it just stays in that position.
Oh, nice. Well, they're a lot smaller too, so they don't really get in the way like mine do.
Well, I don't think they're actually all that different in size. They probably look a little different because I have the extender bar, so they're further away from the camera. So, like,
Maybe.
that, I think you don't have the extender bar, so, like, where the...
Yeah, I do. The Z bar that you got on the left?
Yeah, but that's all you have, right?
Oh, I don't have, like, a long extender bar. Yeah,
I
see
have
what
a
you're talking
long
about.
extender bar that
I got you.
pulls my stick way away from the base. The thing I like about the extender bar is it gives you a little more fine-grained control because, like, since you're pulling the stick away from the base, like if I move my stick an inch forward, that's going to be less movement in the base than if you move your stick an inch forward. So I got to move mine a lot further to achieve the same movement that you do without the extender bar, so it gives you a little more fine-grained control.
It's like boxing.
Yeah, exactly. As far as mounting, I use Monster Tech mounting rail. So, like, right under the front of my desk there, I have a rail that it mounts up into the desk. It goes the whole way across, so that allows me to then slide my accessories into whatever position I want. So whenever I'm not playing the game, which I hope that to be less and less percentage of my time over time, I can slide the accessories off to the side.
Fantastic.
Come on, ask me another question, Rosie. Let's keep going.
I think that's a cut right there. I think, bam, we did it. Arc, don't.
Arc Samus.
Arc.
So your
Oh my God.
Shut up! Shut up!
So your thruster, I see that it's like split down the center. Can you actuate both sides separately to like rotate your ship, or is that are they like locked as one unit?
You can move them separately. So there's actually a little lever or slider right below the lip there, and if you have it slid in one direction, they move together. If you slide it to the right, it decouples them so you can move them independently. I don't have anything bound to them independently yet. In the future, I think that might be useful. And I've thought about how I could use that. I think Ark has some ideas too when we get to his segment. But like I thought about making one of those the speed limiter, So like if I decouple it, I could use one to limit my speed and the other one to actually set my throttle. But instead, I have my speed limiter right now as a little button on the side that just sets a relative speed. And the only thing that has kept me from setting that or like an absolute control as my speed limiter is because Star Citizen doesn't respect that whenever you first get into the ship, and that bothers me. That's why I've left it as a relative button, because if I get out of one ship and into the other, like, position of my absolute speed limiter will now be incorrect unless I just jiggle it a little bit to get the game to update. So for that reason, I just leave it as a relative button for now. But I'm hoping in the future that might change. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You are. My thought on using them in a split mode is if they change the binding settings so you can like use thrusters on the left or right side of your ship. Do you think that is a setting they will implement in the future?
Yeah,
So then you can do like slow turns and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we might get stuff in the future that would make that even more useful.
Especially if you get like a partially damaged thruster on one side, you can have a higher output on that one side to make up for the difference in power.
Yeah, for sure. I like that I have a lot of buttons that I'm not doing things with yet, because I think, I know part of the 323 news, I keep hearing we're getting a lot more keybinds, so that excites me. I'm like, ooh, I get more stuff I can put on buttons.
Yeah, there's like 110 new keybinds.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic.
I'm ready to go. I got a lot of available buttons.
I'm gonna have to have like Control Alt A B C D E F G H.
First thing I think whenever I hear that, like all these new keybinds, is like I'm hoping they take a lot of those toggles and make them discrete keybinds, so I can discreetly set something on or off that's currently a toggle. All right, Rosie. Well, you sounded pretty bored hearing about my setup. Let's talk about yours. What do you got going on over there?
I'm so glad you asked me. So I have a couple things going on. First, whatever this is, I don't know what to do with it half the time. I don't have any of the buttons bound except for forward and to the side. It does nothing else. And then I have a Stream Deck that only a quarter of the buttons are bound to. And I don't even know how to use those buttons. So my Stream Deck sits here because it's cool looking. And then my mouse does a lot of things when I play Star Citizen. I just don't know what, because I don't play. And then I have my keyboard. It's not a fancy keyboard because it's just an office keyboard, but it does a lot of things as well. And then yeah, no, that's about it. I do a lot of things. Any questions, comments, concerns about my setup?
Several concerns. I'm actually writing a list.
What are the concerns? Is it the Stream Deck that set you off?
The throttle or your sticks probably the most.
Well, okay. So I have two of them. My left one makes me go up and down and rotate, and my right one makes me go forward and backwards. And that's what my sticks do, and they're very nice.
We need to fix that.
Well, and this is fancy. You can press this little trigger right here, and pew 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 pew, and that's all I know how to do. Oh, and actually, I know how to use one of these buttons. And I just broke my Stream Deck. The back of it just came off. That's okay. Is that normal? Well, anyways, so on my Stream Deck, I have the contact ATC button that never works, but I press it anyways, and it's the only button I use on here. Because for some reason the buttons don't work on any of them. Like, it no longer records either. So I hit them and they don't do anything. But I think that's normal.
Probably need to update it. Mine had an update the other day.
Yeah, there's been an update for it popping up for the past like 5 months, and I haven't really done anything about it.
Checks out.
So I don't know if that has to do with anything, but I think otherwise I do a lot of good things with my setup. I really utilize all the tools that I have.
I'd like to think that there's some person out there that will watch this video and really connect to your setup.
I think so.
The reason why I wore my glasses today, because maybe people will see me and be like, she can't be that dumb, right? that's why the glasses are here today. But yeah, that's my setup. Any other questions?
If your Stream Deck was working, how many buttons of those would be bound to just like the sound bar or whatever, so you can?
Oh, okay. I only use this little section of the Stream Deck currently. All of this would end up being soundboards for sure. For sure.
Well, it sounded to me that of that section, you only actually use one button, contact ATC.
Yeah. I don't know what flight or ground does. Or
You understand the difference between flight and ground?
no. I fly into grounds. That's what I do. And then I have a Moby Glass button. Oh, that's cool.
She's just saying that for the first time.
That's cool. I have a Moby Glass landing gear. Oh, so I don't have to hit N or anything.
Usually how that works.
Oh, what else do I have? What does distribution do?
Distributes.
Would I be correct to assume that Grolo set up the Stream Deck?
There's a quantum drive button?
Yeah, I set it up a long time ago.
Oh, okay. No, actually, you gave me the stream. Arc originally helped me put buttons on it and showed me how to put the rest of the buttons on it. But you see, I only put the buttons on it that he showed me how to put on.
Arc, you didn't send her that thing she could install the whole Star Citizen situation? Oh, you did? She didn't install it? Yeah, like, there's a ton of buttons.
But you still have to manually set them. Like, even if you install the profile, since I gave it to her back in, like, I think it was 3.18 or 3.17, a lot of those keybinds have changed, so you'll probably have to update a lot of them.
Well, see, that's the thing. He gave me the tools that I needed, but the problem was I had to click buttons to put them on my buttons, and I didn't do that. Any other questions?
This has been an exciting segment.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why you asked me, honestly.
Mark, let's see some sanity here.
Okay.
All right, this looks pretty sweet.
All right, so this is my setup. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where I like, the sticks at, where I like my throttle and things like that. I'll start probably left or right. So each thing on my desk has a purpose. And over time, just having to reach for certain buttons on the keyboard, I put together a list of, what buttons am I pressing that are close proximity or similarly related, and I wanted to isolate those to get them to be the most effective with the shortest amount of hand movements. So on the very left, you'll see the VKB Stex throttle. I believe it's the Mini. And this one I probably use the least. So it has the things I press the least. Now the throttle itself is segmented. I have them separated. And so I have one side of the throttle control the thrust limiter, and then I have the other side as the velocity limiter. And so a cool thing I like to do is if I'm in a larger ship, I'm not having to do a lot of fast movements, I'll actually put the ship in cruise control, and then I use the limiter and the thrust limiter to navigate with. That way it's just really easy to slide it, set it where I like it. I have some flip-up switches on it. Actually, I have a close shot here. If you look on the bottom left, I have some flip-up switches for, one is my self-destruct, the other is to engage or disengage weapons. I have landing gear set up on some of those buttons, and that big button actually turns my ship on. On the bottom, it actually, you can twist it and click it in different directions, which I don't have bound. This has a lot of buttons on it that are unbound, because I don't tend to use it a lot since it's the furthest away from my kit. So I have my throttle right next, or my left stick right next to that. I have it set up as pretty much all strafes. So that's forward, backward, side to side, and then if I twist it, it's up and down strafe. So more or less for me, when I come in for a landing, once I have my nose set, it's almost entirely left stick beyond that point. That way there's no chance of me rolling or changing the pitch or anything like that by accident. On my hat switches, I have some emergency speed controls, just in case I'm in combat and I don't want to reach over to my throttle. I can turn off the speed limiter, or I can reset it, or make movements up and down. I also have shield controls, and then of course my scanning and some emergency combat controls like flare and the what do you call them? Decoys. The stuff on the bottom I don't have bound. I kind of play around with those sometimes when I do like some mining or salvaging. I kind of change those around a little bit. Just past that, I do have a mini keyboard. It really depends on what we're doing. I actually have it set up where I can move it to put it in arm's reach. If we're kind of relaxed a little more, honestly, I just lean back and I can use that instead of reaching forward to my regular keyboard. Just to the right of that, I have my Stream Deck, and that has my Discord controls, TeamSpeak controls. I don't really do much of it for as actual Star Citizen buttons, but I do have my record for it's through NVIDIA, so I can record the last 30 seconds, last 5 minutes, or constantly record. Let's see. So right in the middle, I have my tablet. It's actually set on a mount that holds it up for me, so I can reposition if needed. I use Game Touch, which is a pretty neat program. It's got a lot of different settings on it, pre-built for mining, flight, combat, salvaging. It even has ground vehicles and FPS mode, and they update it pretty frequently, so it's nice to have. They're also kind of linked, so if you do something like leave the seat, which is the bottom right button, it automatically puts you in FPS mode. Or if you click into combat mode, it changes the screen. It's also got salvage mode, and there is a mining mode, but you have to go to the menu for that. Then on the right side is just my right stick. That is the primary combat stick. I have pitch, roll, and yaw on this stick. I also have my...
Oh, I'm good. Sorry.
All of my target pins. I can pin targets. I can sub-target. Change the fire mode from what is it? Staggered mode or unstaggered. I can switch through targets. You name it. It's got my missile mode. And I actually have a second quantum on this one. I have a quantum on my left stick and a quantum on my right, just depending on what I'm doing. If I'm in trouble, I can reach that with either hand. Actually, to do that, I had to link those two buttons. in the PKB program. So basically, both of the pinky buttons are the same button. I forgot I had to do that. Other than that, that's pretty much the setup.
Like, is that a TV above all that, or
It is a TV. It's used as a monitor.
it's very cool. I like the little stream intro on it. Also, the ambient lighting. That poster you got is very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I picked those both up on Amazon. They're like 10 and a half feet by 7 feet, so they take up the wall on both sides. And then I put a bunch of LED strip lights all around the room, so I can change the color. Or
Yeah, that's very nice. Living the spaceship dreams.
You just need
Yep,
it set so when you enter combat, they turn red.
Yes.
yeah, that'd be pretty neat. I like to keep it the one of my favorite ships in its ambient light mode is the Constellation, because when you go in, it's like that purple hue. So I have my whole room set like that. So when I walk in, it's that dark purple.
I feel like it would be cool if you had speakers and LED lights that were somehow connected to what's happening in the game. So that, like, if your ship was on fire and, like, Mayday was happening, you would just have, like, an alarm going off in your room and the LEDs would turn red, and that would just be funny to see.
No, they do have reactive lighting like that that you can set up. It's I don't know how the input sensor works, but you put the light behind your screen and it'll light the whole wall up behind you based on what's going on in your game. So you could very easily do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. My room has light. That's about it. How was your nap, Uxie?
I wasn't
Can't hear you.
asleep. I was thinking deeply.
No, you were nodding.
What did you say the name of the tablet software was?
Game Touch. They have an alternate called Game Glass. The only thing I don't like about Game Glass is it's a little bit slower. Technically, some things it does a little bit better, like your shield controls are more dynamic and they're not like actual buttons you have to press. Let me go here. Now, on this one, you have your weapons, shields, and thrust, and you can press the button almost to the corner, or any one of these buttons in between to set it at 50%, or you can press the corner to reach the absolute values, and then the center to go to the middle. And on Game Glass, you actually can slide it with your finger, which is kind of neat, but it's a little bit slower, in my opinion. That and the pricing model, you pay monthly or you have to pay a lifetime for Game Glass. And
How much is
with
the
this
lifetime?
one, it's like 100 and something. I was like, absolutely not. This one is $3 for lifetime access, and the developer plays Star Citizen, so he updates it all the time. It also has some other neat features. The server software, let me swap the screen.
Your setup, Augur.
It's about as yours, except I don't have a Stream Deck. So
Mine's not bad.
essentially, I got a VKB throttle, so I do stick and mouse for flying around. And then I got my keyboard and mouse for FPS.
See, that's brilliant. I love that. That's really good. Really, really good. Probably the best setup.
All right, guys, that's been another roundtable from Luminis. Everyone have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
Short.
See, wave.